November 24th, 2017. In this video, we're going to be talking about the bloodlines of the Illuminati. Who are the families that make up the Illuminati? Where did they come from, and how did they get there? This man, innocent looking enough, looks like a typical banker. His name is Paul Warburg. So the Warburg family is one of the first families of the Illuminati, and they are strong and heavy in the banking industry. And their ties go way, way back. And they are definitely one of the top Illuminati families when it comes to controlling the finances and the money. The next family is one that is very, very well known, the Rothschilds. So this is showing a picture of Mayer Amschel Rothschild, and he drew up plans for the creation of the Illuminati, according to some sources, and entrusts Ashkenazi Jew Adam Weishaupt, a crypto Jew who was originally outwardly Roman Catholic, with its organization and development. The Illuminati is to be based upon the teachings of the Talmud, which is in turn the teachings of the rabbinical Jews. And it was to be called Illuminati as this is a Luciferian term, which means keepers of the light. And then light is gnosis, or knowledge. So again, it's those who have the knowledge and understand the system. And if you've seen some of my other videos when we're talking about Talmudic Jews, rabbinical Jews, we see that they revised a lot of the teachings that come out of the Old Testament. And it's different than it used to be previously, and we've discovered that through the Dead Sea Scrolls, and we've discovered that also through the Nag Hammadi texts. And they've changed it in order to keep people in line with the program. And as we shall see, and you may already know, they use religion as a tool of control. It's one of their primary tools of control. Religion, money, war, these are all things that they use in order to control us and to keep humans enslaved. And as you can see, they've financed many programs and control many secret services, M16, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, CIA, on down the line. It's all controlled through the money. And as Rothschild said himself, I care not who's in power. It's the control of the money that controls the people that are in power. So it does not matter. He who controls the money makes the rules, basically. And this just shows you some of the Rothschilds' bloodlines, some of the founder, Mayer Amschel, and then going on down the line with some of his kids and going all the way down to the present day. So Nathaniel Rothschild, co-chairman of Atticus Capital, an international investment management firm. He is also the director of RIT Capital Partners, his father's company, and a director of the Rothschild Foundation. So he's the one we'd be looking at nowadays, is doing most of the running of the show. The Astors, another very old name. Several interesting things with the Astors again. It basically in the banking industry as well. There have been times in which some of the members of these families will go against the wishes of the Illuminati in general, which is not a good idea to do, obviously. And this right here was John Jacob Astor, who was the one that really brought most of the money into the fold in this family. Now, he actually ended up opposing the idea of a Federal Reserve Bank, as did these other two gentlemen, Isa Strauss and Benjamin Guggenheim. They both opposed, with Jacob Astor, the founding of a Federal Reserve Bank, even though these are insiders. And all three of these men were aboard the Titanic when it sunk, and all three died that night. Is that just a coincidence? There's more with the Titanic too. That's definitely a subject of a video all on its own, as so many people have looked into the coincidences with the Titanic. But the founding of the Federal Reserve is what really sealed the slavery of the American people. The Kennedy family. The Kennedy family is another large Illuminati family, and again, JFK went against the Illuminati's wishes. He actually even said it. There's a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. He did say these things. This is not a hoax. Before I leave this high and noble office, I intend to expose this plot. That was 7 days before he was assassinated. And we do know what happened with him getting assassinated. And they also assassinated his brother, Bobby. And then after the Kennedys, we also have another older name, and this is Harvey Hollister Bundy. So the Bundy family is not as well known. They are skull and crossbones people. They were involved with the Manhattan Project and the CFR. They're very influential in high government. Not one of the ones that's as well known. The DuPont name, I'm sure we are familiar with that, but we might not realize that, again, the DuPont family is also a Illuminati family. And definitely very strong in the industrial and commercial industries. They hold a lot of real estate. They are Freemasons, Bilderbergers, and they're members of the Trilateral Commission. The Rockefellers, of course. And that is one that's no surprise. A lot of times people will say the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers are the two dominant Illuminati families. And they very might well be. So this is an interesting quote. I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. John D. Rockefeller, who created the General Education Board in 1903 to dispense Rockefeller funds to education. We are on the verge of a global transformation. All we need is the right major crisis and the nations will accept the New World Order. David Rockefeller quote. And then after the Rockefellers, we have the Freemen. And they are involved with the Priory of Sion, as is the Merovingians. And with the Freemen, there's again, that's one of the ones that's a little bit more mysterious, not as much known. The Merovingians came to prominence with Holy Blood, Holy Grail, and the whole story of Jesus and Mary Magdalene actually being a couple and having a child. And then the Merovingian kings came out of that union. So they're actually supposedly of the bloodline of Christ himself. And so it's a very ancient bloodline, a very ancient name, and very powerful bloodline. Again, a little bit more behind the scenes. And this is Mary Magdalene with the baby. And as you can see, the Merovingian kings, there's a large list of them, and very powerful in what is known as France today. Another family is the Onassis family. And so, they are known for their shipping industry prowess. And they're definitely an industrial family again, very, very rich. And, right here, Onassis married the widow of JFK. So they were two Illuminati bloodlines sharing the same spouse. Now this you might not realize, the Russells. And do you recognize Charles Taze Russell? I am very glad to have this particular opportunity of saying a word about some of the things in which we agree with our Masonic friends, because we are speaking and building in a building dedicated to Masonry. We are also Masons. I am a Freemason. So that was Charles Taze Russell, whose teachings became the basis of the Jehovah's Witnesses. And again, they create the religions, and they use the religions to control people, to influence people, control people's purses, control the money, control the religions, and tell them what they have to do in order to go into heaven in the afterlife, and then also control the military. and force them to go in the military and, tell them to go die for their country when it's really dying for the, I was going to use a real negative word, but you're dying for the bankers. You're dying for their profits. So very interesting, Charles Taze Russell and the Russell family. So he was the founder of the Bible student movement, out of which Jehovah's Witnesses came. And that's his pyramid-shaped tomb. Very, very interesting. So after them we have the Van Dunes, or Dunes, I think you would say. They are a Dutch family that were actually some of the original founders in New York City. Very, very prominent family, very rich. Currently now more involved in the upper echelons of government, black ops, mind control. Very, very intertwined in the government and the CIA and things along those lines. R.J. Reynolds. The Reynolds family is an Illuminati family too, and of course R.J. Reynolds of tobacco fame. So control the people and control their addictions, and a lot of them will die of cancer anyway. That's all population control. We'll make profits on it while we do it. Now this one you might not be familiar with. This is the Lee family. And they are going to take a more major role in the modern and what's coming up in the New World Order. Very, very powerful in Hong Kong, real estate, manufacturing, very, very powerful, affluent family that will become more affluent as time goes on, because the Illuminati is shifting the power to the east. China is to be the new dominant power in the world, and this family will be one of the leading families, and is actually rising now. As we know, they control Hong Kong, and the Triads control Hong Kong, so they most likely control the Triads. And so an ever larger player on the NWO front, the Lee family. And here we have good old J.P. Morgan, who, is definitely in cohorts with the Rothschilds, and they were very, very much partners with getting the whole Federal Reserve established. The whole situation that we find ourselves in now, where we pay so much in taxes, and basically, we are nothing but a feudal society thanks to the Rothschilds and the Morgans mostly, and Rockefeller's in there too. So yes, the Morgans, definitely. U.S. Congressman Oscar Callaway informs Congress that J.P. Morgan is a Rothschild front and has taken control of American media industry. I guess nobody listened to him. And then we have the Bush family. When history repeats, do we notice? And as all of our rights go out the window with 9/11, which was definitely completely planned on by the Foundation for a New American Century, the Project for a New American Century, of which the Bush family was intricately involved and became the frontsman for. Prescott Bush, his son, head of the CIA, vice president, grandson, governor of Florida, his grandson, governor of Texas, U.S. president, his grandson, head of security, World Trade Center. Yep. Can you believe that? Crime, trading with the enemy, the Nazis, actually even really worse than that. He was involved with IG Farben, which actually supplied the gas for the gas chambers. And yes, they made money on both sides, trading with the United States and trading with the Nazis. So as punishment, he was elected senator representing Connecticut from 52 to 63. That's how these things work. And there's a picture with good old buddy Hitler. This man made $3 million in gold financing Adolf Hitler, and then we put his son and grandson in the White House. Isn't that amazing? How are people so gullible? How do we not know evil when we could look at it? The Bush family tree. Prescott, George W. 1942, New York Tribune dubbed grandfather Senator Prescott Bush Hitler's angel for his treasonous banking role in financing and arming the Nazis. That profit began the Bush fortune. 3 generations of war, profiteering, genocide, gangsterism, corruption, and rape of the U.S. Constitution. War crimes. That says it all, doesn't it? That really does. And you can see that familiar face over there, Skull and Crossbones Society at Yale. So there you have your Illuminati bloodlines that control the world, that have the world in their hands. Were there any surprises, or did you guys know all that? Well, I hope you will give it a thumbs up if you thought it was informative. Please share the info. This is the most important thing, is getting it out there and sharing. Subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. Join the Evolutionary Energy Arts family as we expand and send more info out into the world to wake up more people so we can wake up from this nightmare together. I thank you so much for joining me. Take care out there.